think we're live.
I think, but I was expecting Dila to say something. So, yeah, we are ready. Hello, everyone. My name is Anastasia Petrova. I'm working at Quantexa in looking after alliances and partnerships in European region and UK. And today I also have Daniela, my guest, who will introduce herself in a minute. And our topic today is professional and personal development for Generation Success audience. Daniela?
Hi, everyone. I'm Daniela. I've been working at Quantexa for about 3 years now, mostly within the data engineering department, and I'm now a lead data engineer of a couple of projects at the moment. So, yeah.
Of course, it would be great, Daniela, if we're just sitting somewhere nice and can see each other and can see our audience, but that's what we have to live with these days. So thank you, first of all, for your time. I know you just came back from home and still lots of work to do. So, but thank you so much for joining. And as the topic today is professional and personal development, my first question to you, Daniela, is how do you separate these two terms, and whether do you separate them at all? Is it totally two different things or one thing for you?
I suppose in short, it's probably one thing for me. My personal growth has been a personal goal for me for as long as I can remember. But yeah, I suppose it depends on the person. But yeah, particularly for me, I've always been very focused on my career and where I want to go and what I want to achieve, and that's sort of gives me personal fulfillment, I suppose. So yeah.
Yeah, that's that's great. And so your role at Quantexa, lead data engineer. So is it a career? Is it a hobby? Is it aspiration, passion? How did you even come to that role?
It's a funny story because if you had told me when I started high school that one day I would be sitting at a computer coding all day, I probably would have laughed and told you there's no ways. I kind of just I started my journey of loving maths. That was all I knew in school. Whenever people would ask, what are you going to do when you grow up? I'm like, I don't know. I just know I like maths and I like solving problems. And that was kind of the same mantra that I just sort of kept throughout is, I just really like solving analytical problems. And when it came to deciding what I wanted to study, I wasn't really sure, and they were like, oh no, if you're good at maths you should do actuarial science, and that was sort of the craze around 10 years ago. So I actually started studying actuarial science, and I think I did it for about 6 months, but the financial side of things was just not something that I enjoyed at all, and that's a huge part of actuarial science. So I actually then switched my major to pure mathematics, and from then it was definitely something I enjoyed more. And the reason why I mention that is because it actually played a huge role, just being able to do that first 6 months of actuarial science, because some of the courses that we did were like an introduction to C++ and a lot of sort of like small little intro classes that actually got me interested in what I really enjoy. And there was an economics class, and it was all around sort of thinking about analytical problems in a different space other than finance. And those were the subjects that I enjoyed the most. And it's important because it's sort of led me to where I am today. And yeah, like that was when I first started object-oriented coding, and so that was a really important stepping stone, I think, for me, was to have had some sort of introductory course in coding, because then I knew that I could do it. And then from then, when I sort of finished my maths degree and started working, I was like, oh, okay, I know coding, and sort of just built on it from there. And then here I am 5 years later, and it's what I do all day, every day. So yeah, it's been a bit of a weird journey.
Yeah, that's always amazes me. I think you guys are so smart. When I talk to so young and smart and to developers,
we just speak a different language to other people. That's all.
So did you feel when you were starting, did you feel like you were a minority? So what do you think, before we even move into, professional development, can we stop a little bit here and talk a little bit like about diversity in this profession? Because it's also very important when you think about coding and data scientists, data science and data engineering as a profession. So can we stop here and talk a little bit about diversity in this profession? And even when you were starting, did you feel like it's not enough girls, it's not enough other representatives?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it was something I've always noticed, but never quite. I don't know. It's definitely something I've noticed, but I've been around it for so long that it's not as surprising to me. I mean, having studied maths in South Africa, I mean, my class by the end, we were only 5 people anyway. So the fact that there was 2 girls out of 5 was actually quite good, I suppose.
Oh, almost 50-50, yeah.
Yeah, almost. But already it was just being in sort of the mathematical, analytical side of things was already such a sort of specialized, I suppose, subject to be specializing in. But yeah, I think I probably noticed it more when I started working, but having worked for sort of a big corporate bank, then the diversity is probably a little bit better than you would expect. And also sort of in Africa, particularly in South Africa with their sort of apartheid history, the focus is not actually on gender inequality. It's more sort of within the ethnicity, and that's more of the focus. So I suppose for me, I was not so much in the minority or I was in the minority, but it was just a different view on sort of equality, let's call it that. So the focus is more on ethnicity. And then coming to the UK, that was when it sort of brings to life, okay, no, females in STEM subjects and that sort of thing is quite there is some sort of an inequality, in terms of the numbers and how many people are around. And I especially noticed it when there was probably only about 5 girls out of the 80 people that worked for us. But I mean, we've grown so much since 3 years ago, which is amazing. Every time there's a girl, like, yay, some more girls. But there's been a few that have joined Quantexa now, and it's really, really exciting to see. And I guess my point is that, I've only really started thinking about it maybe in more sort of recent years.
Yeah, that's so true. And Quantexa is unique in this way. But we can come to it a bit late about not only Quantexa, but just also entry level is fine, but then it's about progressing, right, and growing within the company. It's still, sometimes we're talking about glass ceiling, right, and we will come to that. But when we are talking about success in profession, success in career, there is a term, your positive core. What makes you happy about your profession? What are your strengths? What is the best? How can you show the best of you in this profession or in your profession? Okay, can you talk a little bit about this, how you keep positivity about the work you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, it's always going to be a number of things. But I suppose if I had to sort of pick my main sort of core, it would be to grab opportunities. It sounds very vague, but I suppose for me, if I've taken advantage of a particular opportunity and seen it sort of bloom into something, then I feel like some sort of success from that. So, I mean, having, like I said, like not having come from any sort of coding background to now being a full-blown coding person and technical person that someone comes to for technical advice, I never would have picked to be one of those people. And it was just because I took those opportunities along the road to actually develop those skills and go, oh, you know what, I actually quite enjoy this. I would say that's probably one of them. I would also maybe say like, just taking advantage of life and really, taking advantage of opportunities that have come away. I was very lucky to start my very first job in a in a team for Barclays Africa, where we were quite a small team, but we were only 2 graduates that had started, and we were sort of introducing data analytics to the business. And I was in a very fast-paced team that we were very into trying new things and or trying new technologies and trying to explain and trying to introduce data analytics to the business. And I had a lot of mentors in that team that sort of told me how to act professionally and how to innovate and push your ideas and really make a difference. And I think that sort of has played a bit of a part in how I act in my everyday work life. Is always looking for new opportunities, always say yes to new things, and just try it. You never know. And just
Exactly. It's what is the saying? Like, it's better to do something and fail than not to do and regret you've never done it. Yes.
yeah.
So you feel the same. Okay.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
great.
So I've definitely had people along the way to sort of push me to try new skills. And I'd say, what, someone told me about MongoDB, and at first you think, what is that? I've never heard that word before in my life. And then you come across it again, you're like, oh, actually, I have heard of this. Let me try it out. And I think just being exposed to a lot of different things as well has helped gain your confidence, I suppose, in trying different things.
That's amazing. And you mentioned you worked at Barclays South Africa. So, and now you work at Quantexa, a scale-up company, growing fast though, but still not the same size. So totally different culture. I think you will agree. Yeah, but so do you see the difference for professional opportunities for professional growth in the big corporate established company, or in comparison to the scale-up, to the startup?
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, when you work for a big corporate, it's really hard to show your worth and show off, what you've done and the value that you've added, and to really portray that well is quite difficult, especially if it's got to go through all the different ranks, and there's a whole huge system in place to sort of manage that. And I guess it becomes more about the numbers rather than actually qualitatively assessing what people have done. Whereas moving to Quantexa, especially having joined Quantexa when it was quite small still, and watching it sort of grow a little bit, we still have kept that almost personal aspect to it, where it's, I have worked with this person and I know what they're like and I know their quality of work, and that sort of definitely comes into play. But yeah, the opportunities for the kind of projects that you're on, the opportunities for what you want to do with your own sort of career goals and stuff definitely comes into play a lot easier than it would a big corporate. And they actually ask you, what do you want to do? And it just makes such a difference personally and professionally. So
yeah, that's sometimes in the big companies you just flow, you just go with the flow. At what I noticed at Quantexa, it's actually how to choose. I want to do this and that and everything. Yeah. So again, you mentioned about these advantages and opportunities and grabbing the opportunity, and this passion for learning, like you mentioned MongoDB and trying to find out what is it. So let's talk about learning a little bit. So how important is to aspire for new learnings, and how do you actually find what's worth learning? How do you realize, not realize, actually it's not the right word, but how you bring your passion into life with learnings, what to learn, how to learn, when to learn, how to even find time to learn. Yeah. And how it is, especially in this profession, in your profession, things change so quickly, and it's so important to be up to date. So yeah, tell about learning a little bit.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I mean, at school and stuff, I was always a very good student. I studied so that I could pass my test because I knew it's what I needed to do for my future. And it was, I wouldn't say it was generally about wanting to learn. I mean, typical school students, you just you study to pass the test. And then when I went to university, it was a bit much of the same. You know, I'm doing maths, but I don't really know what it's going to be used for. You know, it's all very hypothetical and very abstract. And I think I did sort of my bachelor's degree, and then in South Africa you do a year of honours. And I think by that stage, I'd sort of had enough of studying and not using it. And I was getting very sort of frustrated. And then when I started working, and, you know, actually picking up technical skills to apply to my job, it was like a complete 360 for me. And I was like, oh, I want to learn more so that I can be better at my job and do different things. And I guess that's kind of, that realization sort of helped translate that, that motive to study. And, so we did a couple of courses, through work. And the more I learned a skill and was able to apply it for work, the more I wanted to learn. And then it was, you hear a conference and someone who mentions this new tool that does this cool thing. You're like, oh, let me go and give it a try. And the more new sort of technical skills that you try, the easier it gets to learn a new one. So you don't get so scared about, I mean, I suppose it's the same as learning a language. You know, if you know French, then you might try learning some Spanish, and then you might try learning some Portuguese. And then from there, you'll probably pick up Italian quite quickly because you're used to looking out for the same things of what you want to learn about. I suppose when I came over to the UK, or was looking to come over, I decided that I actually wanted to then study my master's in data science. And my original motivation was, you know, to maybe open up some more job opportunities, because a lot of the places here look for master's degrees. But once I started actually taking some of the courses and actually really enjoying them, you know, it's actually been more about what do I want to learn and what's going to be helpful for my future sort of work or career. So, you know, then it was a whole different story. I wasn't just studying to get this degree to put on a piece of paper. I was actually studying to sort of grow my skill set and be better at my job, really. And a lot of them have helped, actually. So where I'm sort of more coming from a maths background, I've now picked up more of the software engineering sort of side of things that I maybe didn't have before working. And I suppose it's so weird. If you told me that I was studying, you know, for on my own accord, I would have laughed at you. But now it's the motive is very different when you know that you're going to actually be applying what you learn.
Yes, exactly. And in addition to what you say, I would like to encourage our audience also to ask, because very often there are different, and as you, Daniela, said, there's conference, you hear, just ask if you can participate. And now with virtual world, actually everything is virtual, it's so easy to join and participate things and learn new things and see what are the trends. And just be curious about what's happening. And listening to you, Daniela, I'm thinking like, so we are both working in the same software company, and we love what we do and we believe in our technology. But how not to stay in that bubble, you know, because of course other software vendors don't just stay in the, and it's applicable to any profession and very competitive world. We are working in a competitive world. So how to be on the top of the edge, you know? What are those resources that you use personally to stay on top and bring it into your work, so that you don't just, you know, I want to give a bit of a sad example. I used to work for Nokia ages ago, and we were so excited about our own products, and we thought we are the best, and we were the best at some point of life. But then other mobile phones manufacturers came, and everyone knows who is the best now, or whichever everybody likes. But still, you know, I remember being in that bubble, you know, and we are the best and not looking around. So how to overcome it, how to, you know, develop this capability to stretch out, you know, to get out and always be on the top and make sure that we know what others are doing.
Yeah, well, I mean, I suppose as a company, you know, we've got a couple of people who are constantly looking to innovate and try new things and test it out. And I guess from a person who is working for this company and needs to actually deliver these things, it's about being open to learning more and knowing that, you know, you can always be better. And although it can be tiring sometimes to always be working at 100%, I must say, like, you know, it's the way to learn. And I feel like when we as Quantexa are trying new things and always making things better and constantly, you know, playing around with different ideas, I'm not only growing professionally but personally as well. But yeah, to keep sort of in contact with what's going on in the world, you know, I read a couple of like tech blogs, but, you know, listening to conferences, knowing what's out there, and yeah, even if it might feel related to work, it's not quite talking about work. So, you know, taking a little bit of time to just read an article here and there and find out what's going on and sort of explore those different technologies is a good way to take a little bit of a break and keep up to date, I suppose.
Yeah, that's great advice. So all these new learnings, you mentioned a little bit how they contribute to your, like, you learn, you grow professionally, but taking also into consideration all the changes happening in the industry, and pandemic proved us many times already there are changes both to professional and personal lives. So how do you reflect all these changes and learnings into your career path?
Oh, yes. The remote working and having to lead a team has definitely increased, well, it's bettered some of my softer skills. So delegating tasks, you know, not being able to actually sit next to a person and physically help them. You have to learn to communicate better and actually describe with words what you're trying to say. And as you can see, I use my hands a lot. So, you know, it's something I struggle with quite a lot because I'm much better at drawing and describing what I'm trying to talk about with my hands and with visuals. So being on the phone all day to people, I've really had to up my communication skills and sort of how to describe something and really sort of robustly describe something that you're trying to get across to somebody so that they really understand what you're talking about.
Yeah, we definitely gained new skills in this pandemic. But imagine your career in 5 years' time. So how do you see it?
This is a tough question. I don't think I've ever been able to answer the 5-year plan. I don't know. I really enjoy what I do, so I hope that I'm still in tech. And you know, if it is working for another startup, or, you know, when Quantexa is this big company that's taken over the world, you know, I'll be happy with either. But yeah, I think I have more goals in terms of what I would like to pass on rather than where I would like to be. So if I know that I've you know, helped sort of mentor other people to join tech, or, you know, impart some of the knowledge that I've learned over the last 3 years onto other people and made them better coders, better leaders, whatever it is, you know, I guess that's just more sort of my goals in life, is to make sure that I've taken all this knowledge and spread it. Spread it around.
That's yeah. So then what do you think about personal development plans, career development plans, building career paths? Do you believe in them?
I do. It's not that I don't believe in them. I think I've always just had the plan of, you know, be analytical, solve some problems, and it's kind of just led me to where I am. And, you know, personal goals was live overseas. You know, I was previously in South Africa, and it was always something I wanted to do, was to come and live in London. And I mean, with the pandemic going on and everything, I mean, it's completely changed how we live, how we're acting. So I mean, it could be anything next for me. I'm not even sure anymore. So, but prior to the pandemic, I suppose it was just, you know, it's such a hard question. I just wanted to be successful, but in my mind, I'm already successful. I wanted to lead a team and help people and help mentor people. And I guess that's something I just really enjoy, is like mentoring people. So I'm kind of at that point now, and it's like, well, I'm not really sure what's next. people are, I have some friends back home who are always like, you're going to be the next CEO of a big company. I'm like, okay, so maybe we'll do something around that.
Yeah, so I remember I heard from one of the very senior people. He said, it's okay to have long-term dreams, but you must have short-term plans. So I think you live more like a dreams are there, but you have your action plan and that feeling. I heard a few times helping people. So let's talk about it, Daniela. I know about you as a person, and you're an amazing person. I will tell it publicly. and I in Quantexa, just set up in Quantexa. I'm sure you're a mentor, and I hope you're also a mentee. So can you please talk about, like, are you a mentor? How do you help actually people to thrive and grow? Like, do you support the idea of growth mindset instead of just saying, "Oh, well done," and and also experience as a mentee? So it's a big question. So please take it as you wish.
All right, you ready? Yeah, I mean, like I said, I really enjoy mentoring people and sort of building relationships with people. It's something I'm generally quite good at and really enjoy. So joining Quantexa and, understanding the way things work is that we have a mentor and they have mentees, and you also have sort of your team lead and they run projects and, again, sort of help impart knowledge a bit from a technical point of view. Being a mentor was something that I was quite keen to do. So I suppose my short-term plan was to be promoted to manager. But since I've done that now, I need a new one. But yeah, so you need to be a manager to be a mentor. And I think now I haven't been assigned any mentees yet. But hopefully once we start getting some graduates, then I'll have an actual mentee to help with their career growth and stuff. But even though I haven't had mentees signed to me per se, I've definitely, felt like I've had an influence on some of the younger, more junior members of Quantexa, even if it was just with sort of social committee staff or just sort of general career advice. I definitely feel like I've helped some of the people, which is always a nice feeling. But then, like I said, sort of leading a couple of projects now. I don't just lead the project to get the project done and deliver what we need to do. We have a few junior members. It's their first project. It's their first job. I remember what it was like to have start my first job and really have no clue, but really try hard, and you really just want to impress, your team lead and really just want to do well. And I think, just having that understanding almost, it just helps sort of put people at ease a bit. And rather than saying, no, you're doing it wrong, it's, we do it this way because, and it's not just saying you need to do it this way. It's helping someone understand so that they then learn, oh, okay, now I understand. And yeah, I think that's something that I'm really trying to push for, is that, as a team lead, you can't just tell them what to do or how better to do it. You actually need to explain why, and it will help. It's like that common saying that goes, teach a man to fish and he'll be fed for the rest of his life, but if you just give him the fish, then he's only fed for an evening or something like that.
That's a great saying.
But yeah, that's literally one of the sort of sayings that I sort of keep in the back of my head quite often is, think about the longevity of somebody's skill set. If you make them better for the next project and the next project, it's going to be better for everyone in the future. But yeah, it does take time and effort. So, it is something that, but it's something that I feel is worth it. But yeah, so like, I suppose I've mentored a couple of people sort of during projects, and I hope that I've helped some people along the way.
Yeah, and you do. And we don't collaborate much in daily work, but I can say that in our social community life, I learn a lot from you, and it's amazing. It's amazing being a part of that community within our company. Can I ask if you have a mentor yourself?
Yes, I do.
So Yeah, and how important it is to have the mentor in your professional development, and also internal versus external mentor.
Yeah. So internally, I've got my Quantexa assigned mentor, and it's been 3 years. So, we've built up a pretty good relationship. We have a little half-hour coffee sort of once a month, and catch up about what's been happening. And he provides a lot of sort of professional development points for me. So when I was looking to be promoted to manager, he gave me a list of things that I needed to work on, and things to really focus on, communicating and learning to delegate, and all of those things that that really help sort of a manager manage well. Yeah, so he's guided me on a lot on that, having had experience for many years, leading a team, and sort of knowing what to focus on, and sort of helped me transition from being more of a developer and someone who's sort of in the project versus someone who's sort of more managing it. And yeah, he's really sort of helped me with that. I probably couldn't have done it without him. So yeah, it's been really good skills to learn, and I thank him a lot for that. But yeah, in terms of like external mentors, like I said, I've had quite a few sort of along the way. The team that I first started my first job with, we were about 10 of us, and one of the ladies there, we were just meant to be friends. It was just one of those people that we've just hit it like a house on fire, and we still chat to this day. We're still quite close, and she's literally been my mentor for life. Other than just being a friend, she's had a few more, quite a few more years sort of life experience, but we just get along so well. And if there was any sort of professional problems that I was having, or personal, she would always just send to me and offer some sort of real advice to just say, what, and something she's always said, is just take a step back, think about what's actually important here. Yes, you can have a little bit of a vent and complain about stuff, but at the end of the day, what's important, and she definitely is that sort of center for me. So if I ever have any, I don't know, anything that I'm particularly struggling with, or I'm unsure of anything, I know that I can always ask her, and she'll tell me about some story where she's been in a similar position,
Yeah.
and these are the choices that she made, and this is what she would have done differently. And yeah, it's been really great to have someone like her in my life, I suppose.
Yeah, and also having external mentor, I think you can share more things, and
Yeah.
go through some stuff if something doesn't go the way you want. Yeah, so, but there's also roles like role models, coach, sponsor. So do you have like those figures in your life, and what is like, do you see them important for your career and professional and personal growth?
I probably don't have anyone specifically like a coach or anything. Like I said, my friend is probably the closest thing I have to some sort of a coach. She's always telling me how these courses that she's been on, and then sort of imparts that knowledge on me. But from a role model point of view, I'm very much, I like watching self-help videos and like TED Talks and stuff. And someone who always stands out to me is Simon Sinek.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of people know who he is. But like the stuff that he talks about just like 100% resonates with me. There's this book, Start with the Why, and it's, really something that I sort of play in my head, really understand why we're doing this, what's the benefit, where's this going to lead to one day. And I think that's something that I should hope that I emanate on people, and that's why I can be super relatable to some people. I'm honest and just there, and people will understand my motives. And I hope that that's what I'm emulating anyway. But yeah, I think he's someone that I follow quite closely. I actually get his daily inspirational emails every day.
Interesting.
In my inbox. Yeah, just some quotes, and it's all about being a really good leader versus being a boss, and all the stuff that I just really stand for. So as a role model of, I think he started his career as I don't know if it was a banker, but it was something completely arbitrary. And now he's, completely into sort of motivational speaking, and, he just speaks so well. And, he's definitely someone that I would look up to, and someone that I would listen to any day.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, Simon Sinek is one of my aspirational figures. Let's say inspirational figures.
Yeah.
Can we talk a little bit about imposter syndrome? Yeah, because very often that's the evil, as I call it personally, that actually stops us from growing and stops us from pursuing what we, really good at, because we always think we are not good enough. So when is this, good is good enough, not striving for like perfectionism, and being anxious and depressed and then ruining actually our lives and careers. Let's, and before I forget, another thing I wanted, have you ever experienced total change of career? Though from listening, it was a little bit of that, but maybe, or what is your view on when people like at some point just want totally to change their career? So two different but connected questions.
Yeah. I'll start with your second question.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I haven't done a 360 on my career, but I've definitely done a 180. I started more within the data science space, so it was more about the models and the analytical side and how you present those insights to the customer. And then starting at Quantexa, I'm more sort of in the back end, like doing heavy sort of software development. That was definitely not my background. So I kind of understand the sort of complete, utter career change. And I would say the one thing that sort of bugged me, or not bugged me, but just sort of stuck in my mind is, if I was ever potentially looking for, another job, what would it be in? Would I want to go back to more sort of the data science, the analytical side of things? Or would it be to stick more with the software engineering? Because now I love this, and I really enjoy sort of being more in the technical side of things. But to come back to your first question, that imposter syndrome, it hits because now I don't have, 6 years of experience as a data engineer. I've only got 3, and I've got 3 years as a data scientist. So if I was ever looking for sort of my next step, it would be, what do I do based on the experience that I have? And you feel like you need to have had 6 years experience leading a data engineer team to move on in that same career path. But I suppose not really. But yeah, I'm I'm struggling with imposter syndrome at the moment.
That doesn't help, Daniela. That doesn't help.
No, but I think the thing to sort of get past those thoughts is something that I often tell myself is, you got to where you are now because of what you did, not what anybody else did. So it's just easier to remember it like that. And I don't know. I know that they generally say, women struggle a little bit more with sort of imposter syndrome. And, if you're ever to look at a job requirement, we think, we need to have achieved all of these things and, be brilliant at each of them. But then I try and just sort of think, I've had exposure to many different tools. If I can learn those, I can learn some more. So
it's actually the foundation. If you're again passionate for learning, you're quite lucky if you really find, no matter what age you are, if you find something you really love, even if it needs to like make a 360 turn, I personally believe it's worth it. That's what life is for. But again, some people have, different circumstances, right?
Yeah.
So, but I would encourage to be fearless.
Yes. The reward is definitely worth it in the end. I think anyone who does any sort of little bit of coding can understand, if you're trying to make something work and then it finally does, that feeling is, you can't beat it.
So how do you let your team members, you are leading a team, so your team members, how do you acknowledge them? How do you make them feel, yes, we've done it, it's great, we've done a great job? So how do you celebrate? And it is also very important to celebrate. I hope you agree. So how do you do it with your team?
I suppose there's the sort of one-on-one, if someone's managed to get something working and they let me know, it'll be a small little Slack emoji reaction to be like, yay, we're so excited that it worked, like little sort of acknowledgements to say, what, really well done. That was great to get that working. But I suppose, once you've had like a big demonstration to one of the clients and it's gone really well, I make sure to verbally say, okay, well, these days it's over Teams, but it's still verbal. Verbally, say, well done, guys, and sort of also add what the impact was. So to say, what, well done, guys, it went really well is cool, but you need to also sort of explain why it went well so that they can understand the impact that it had. So it's, well done, guys, the client really understands now what we've achieved so far, and to get all of this stuff working meant that they could do X, Y, and Z, and that's really, really good for them. And it's good for us to show that we can do all of this stuff. So again, it's like coming back to the why. Why was it good? Why did it go well? And it's great that it went well, but also to understand why helps sort of solidify that, what, I actually had it made a difference, even if they're not in those meetings directly, especially if they're not in those meetings directly. But like I said, it just comes back to explaining why, and people then just understand better.
Talking to people, it's important. And I don't think, maybe, again, I don't want to be biased, but maybe in more technical roles, people don't talk as much.
Yes.
but it's important. Yeah.
But I think it helps that I get very excited about things quite easily as well, so people will know when I'm happy with something.
Great. So, some people want to do more public speaking, but they don't have this opportunity at work, or they want to become a manager, but again, this opportunity doesn't come like when they expect it. So, but I personally believe that there's lots of opportunities to develop and grow professionally outside day job. So what do you think about it? When there's no specific or very explicit opportunity within the company, how people can grow personally and professionally outside their day jobs?
Yeah, I suppose that's a bit of a difficult one for me, because I don't think I've ever really gone too far outside my job. I mean, apart from the occasional thing like this, I generally sort of stick within my company. But no,
I mean, not outside the company, I mean outside the day job. And I ask because you're a great example. You do a lot, Daniela. I mean, of course, it could be outside the company, and I can mention a little bit, but within the company, outside your day job, you can still do a lot. And what did I try to get you into?
Yes.
not be shy.
When I first started at Quantexa, I mean, I was new to London. I didn't know anyone. So what did I do? I got to know my colleagues. And that was kind of where the socialness sort of sprung from, I suppose. And then I think probably like a year later, someone approached me and said, listen, we want to put together a social committee and we think you would be good to head it up. And whenever someone comes to me with stuff like that, I say yes. I always just say yes. I do enjoy extracurricular, but again, this is the thing. It's seizing the opportunity. I could have very easily said, you know what, no, I don't have time. I'm super busy, work's too busy, but I need variety in my life. So I'm very keen to, put some of that exerted energy into something else as well. So, I was very keen to take on the challenge, and I've always been like that. I was like that at school. Any extra dances or things that needed organizing, I was there. I was keen to do it. In my first job, there was a sort of youth organization where anyone under the age of 30 would gather and share ideas and innovate, whatever. So I was part of that, and I revived it. Made it all brand new and sparkling, and really got it drive. Like I drove it basically. So it's something that I've always been interested in, but those opportunities are always there. You just got to say yes to them. So I suppose with the social committee stuff, I do love organizing events and putting these things together and bringing people together all the time. So I love chatting to new people and learning about new people. And like I said earlier, building relationships is something that I really enjoy. And I guess that kind of also helps a little bit. That is my passion, and I would say it's probably my hobby actually, is the social committee, and trying to organize all these different things. I do it for my friends groups as well. So but yeah, if anyone is like keen to get involved and stuff, the opportunities are always there. And if they not take the initiative and start it, because
Exactly.
all you need is someone to just take charge and lead it, people will follow. So
and I just want to witness you are still a bit humble about what you do, but I believe that you, Daniela, apply lots of skills. It's like our social committed context. It's like running a business. We have the budget, right? You need to organize people, and more importantly, those people don't report to you, but we still need to deliver. So actually, you're managing people, leading people who don't even report to you, and you have no control of their time. So it's a lot of skills you develop, but also apply. So that's a great example. Just an addition, I want to add to our audience that there's a lot of charities who need your skills, guys. And I would encourage people, again, depending on capacity, go and help. It's different skills, again, management skills, speaking skills. This platform, Generation Success, allows people to speak and harness their public speaking skills. So just be bold, be brave, and say yes. Even though I would say, Daniela, that sometimes you need to say no, right? Sometimes I don't know. I'm referring to hackathon last year.
Yes, that is one of the skills that I've had to master over the years, is saying no to stuff. But
Okay, and on this positive note, can I ask you, as a summary of this amazing conversation, I really enjoyed, don't know about you, but I really enjoyed it. I just want to summarize, give 3 pieces of advice. Our brain actually remembers usually things in 3 sets of 3. If you listen to politicians, they always say in 3, this COVID campaigns also in 3, by the way.
Yeah.
A lot of adverts are sets of 3. So 3 pieces of advice about professional development, personal development, career progression. So 3 things for people to remember.
Number 1 would definitely be, take and consider every opportunity that comes your way, no matter how strange or odd it may seem, or even if you don't have time, sometimes you just need to say yes. Number 2 is always explain the why. I find that it just makes you so much more relatable and really helps people understand sort of your point of view and helps sort of get those points across. And the third one, I would be, don't take life too seriously. I know we haven't really spoken about that, but that's actually one of my sort of main mantras of life. Everything is joyful, everything can be happy. You just have to look on the bright side of life, I suppose. That's never too serious. So
that's amazing. So grab the opportunity, understand why, and have fun. Amazing. Thank you, Daniela. Thank you. And I believe now Dila should come back to this room, to this chat. I don't know. The new platform, something to learn, Daniela.
Yeah, I know. I'm also, this is one of the things we're going to learn about. Dila, you can close the session now. Thank you so much. This was good fun.
Thank you.